So this weekend, I went to a restaurant. I went to a bakery and got bread, had a sleepover at one of my good friends' house, like a girls' weekend sort of thing. And then on Sunday night, we heard that suddenly Rome was in the red zone and nobody would be able to leave. When I say nobody would be able to leave, they were stopping flights in and out of Rome, and they would be starting a curfew where people couldn't go outside after 6 p.m. Yeah, so basically today I went to the grocery store. I got up at like probably 7:45 and I was at the grocery store by 8:15 and there was a pretty long line. It was funny because people had sort of self-separated, like instead of a straight line back, people were sort of zigzagging so that they were keeping the recommended 3 feet apart. But it actually only took about 20 minutes to get inside the store, and I'm sort of used to the Black Friday of America where people are ripping things off the shelves and you see fights, and I was actually pretty scared. But when I got in there, there was a ton of food. There was a security guard who was letting about 35-ish people in the grocery store at one time. And so, funny enough, the lines were shorter than sometimes they might be on a Tuesday night. But there was plenty of food, and people seemed to be getting what they needed. Maybe you could chalk that up to the cultural side of Italy where they go to the grocery store often versus in the US where people might go on a big run for 2 weeks or something like that. Yeah, yeah, you can. I think the guidance that they've given is to be smart and also to think about other people. So, for instance, if you go to a restaurant, all restaurants close at 6, but a lot of restaurants aren't even doing dinner service and they close after lunch, and they have to have the tables arranged in such a way that there's 3 feet in between each table. So it's sort of like yes within rules, like so long as you're being safe. But you when you think about it, like living in the Bay Area, I feel so ready for something like this because after riding BART, after walking through the Tenderloin, you sort of these things like take your shoes off at home, never touch your face, cover your mouth when you cough. And so for some people, this stuff is really new. And I've just sort of realized I don't want to put myself in a position where I could get sick. Excuse me, I could get sick or I could make other people sick. So, to a degree, yes. But I mean, I think, I saw a lot of parents getting extra diapers for their kids, but most of the people that were walking out of the store had maybe like 2 6 packs of water that I have to look. They're probably 2 liters. Yeah, about 2 liters of water. So that's only 12 bottles of water, and yeah, people kept their distance, but at no point in time was anybody rude to me or there was no physical violence. It just feels it feels a little bit different than sort of the pandemics I've seen, whether it's earthquakes or tornadoes in the Midwest, that sort of preparation, or snowstorms. Yeah, that's a great question. So I think it's like a scary time for everybody in every place. And I think one of the reasons why it's so scary is because nobody knows. I mean, people say that it's kind of like the flu. Um, but I haven't had it. I don't know. I can't speak to this experience. And I think unknowing, like not knowing, is what scares most people. But I really believe that, like, if you think with your head and truly are willing to stay inside and not go out or go to the movies or go to other places where, let's say, you happen to be a carrier and get a whole host of other people sick. Like, I think so long as you're thinking about others at this time, I don't know, it's less scary to me if I focus on keeping myself safe and keeping other people safe, because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole of reading a new article here and there and everywhere, and when is the virus, or when is the vaccine coming out, and things like that. So like I said, I've stayed inside a lot. Today I went to the grocery store, but other than that, I've kind of chilled at home. My job lets me work remotely, and so I would say, so I work for a San Francisco based company, and our hiring plan has kind of changed because a lot of the business that we do is generated through conferences. And given the fact that a lot of conferences may be canceled at this point in time, and the future is a little bit unknown, we've definitely reassessed our hiring plan, and are looking to see who will actually need to join the company and when. Yeah, and again, I think, like, again, there's just such extreme like fear journalism. I mean, present company excluded. But I think there's just a lot of times there's just an inundation of worst case scenario, and thus far it hasn't been like that at all in Rome. Yeah, I think, again, once again, if you can stay inside, stay inside. Like, now is the time to binge watch that next Netflix series, or to, I don't know, do something, take on a new hobby at home like crocheting or baking. Not the time to go to concerts or movies.